Here we go. Let's see if Radha's here with us. Here she is. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Sonia. Can you hear me?
I can. Everybody, this is the very lovely Radha Stirling. And Radha is, well, she's a hero, frankly. She's a bloody national treasure. So one of the things that Radha, when she came to my attention, was to do with this organization that she'd been involved in founding, Detained, in Dubai. And it came to my attention because a very good friend of mine was supporting a lady who was going through absolute hell in Dubai as a consequence of her ex-husband and the problems in that country and in that nation. Radha, tell us, why did you form Detained in Dubai? Why?
Oh, do you know, Sonia, when you speak about that particular case, it brings back a lot of memories because I'm now friends with that. Lala Sharavesh, absolutely. And that's the first time we spoke. I founded this organization back in 2008. So we're 16 and a half years now. It was because a good friend of mine was unexpectedly detained in Dubai, and he called and said, help in whatever way you can. So founding the website detainedindubai.org, essentially just to lobby for him. And he was working a lot with Endemol. They were a partner of mine, and I was supplying to them. And Endemol and the whole sort of worldwide media got on board in supporting him. And he was falsely accused of possessing drugs. Essentially, the authorities said that they found specks of dust at the bottom of his bag. But because all of the campaigning we did, it was really the first time, I think, that the UK had heard about Dubai and these kinds of issues. And it just went viral everywhere. But because of that, people started contacting me and saying, you helped your friend, can you help me too? And I realized that this was not an isolated incident, that it was an ongoing issue, and that I could probably help other people in the situation as well. And so fast forward 16 and a half years, we've helped in excess of 20,000 people during that time.
When I was getting ready this morning, I was listening to testimonies that people have made about you and are on YouTube, and people are so grateful to you. And here's the conflict, of course, is Dubai is sold to us via influencers on Instagram as the ultimate destination of luxury and enjoyment. And in many respects, it is. I mean, it's obviously clearly phenomenal over there. But why are there so many issues of detaining people who are innocent?
Now, I think it's not even a case of if you follow the law, you're going to be okay.
Right.
Most people that we deal with have abided by the law. They go over there to start businesses or to work, and they want to have a good time within the the reason of the law, and they do generally follow it. But the issue is there's a lot of arbitrary enforcement of the law. So if one person makes an allegation against you, there is no evidentiary requirement for any supporting evidence. So the prosecutors will take on a case simply because of one complainant, and they will prosecute that person all the way through to years worth of detention in the country. So I think that's probably the main issue. It's not even the laws, that if you're aware of them, you're going to abide by them. I don't think anyone has an issue with jailing someone who's imported drugs unlawfully and that sort of thing. But the issue is someone like Lala Sharavesh, she posted a comment on her private and personal Facebook account that wasn't even available to the public. Someone made a report about what she'd said, that her ex-husband's new wife was a horse or a horse face.
Right, it was similar. Really something silly, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And of course, they wanted to prosecute her all the way through to a potential 3 years or more imprisonment. So, I mean, that is completely unreasonable. But we see cases like that. We see a lot of local businesses and individuals who know how to manipulate the system there, making false allegations against people to get them arrested, to get them facing prosecution, to then extort them. So we see this with rental car companies, hotels, and anyone can be a victim in that instance. And the first person to make the report to the police is going to be the one who is believed by authorities. So that's another issue. I mean, we had recently a Scottish gentleman, he went over next door to complain about noise from a party at sort of 3 o'clock in the morning. So that the woman hosting the party went down to the police and said that he'd verbally abused her, which he had not. And of course, they arrested him. They wanted to prosecute him. And it was only because of the international media's focus on that case that he was indeed released in the end.
It is phenomenal, isn't it? And the difference that international media can make. But you, again, this is your work, Radha, because of what you've done and because you've completely solidified this area. People know that they can turn to you. You're like an emergency service for these people who are struggling. Tell us some of the obstacles that you face, because I think you're in London, aren't you? Are you in the UK? You're in the UK.
Yes.
So there must be some obstacles being here and dealing with over there. But obviously now you're more well known. Your organization is well known, but still you've got obstacles. What are the sort of cross cooperation obstacles that you may have to deal with?
Well, I think it's actually beneficial not to be in the country, because if I were in the country, I might be locked up because it's illegal to criticise the legal system or the government. So it's beneficial in that way. However, I think one of the biggest obstacles that we come across is the UK government's apprehension to step in on behalf of citizens who are facing these sort of egregious situations. How many times have we called on the Foreign Office to increase travel warnings to show, okay, be careful when you rent a car from the following agencies, because they've been known to make reports against British citizens to extort them. There's so many warnings that the British office, the Foreign Commonwealth Office, has refused to give to citizens. And I think, you know, part of the reason is obviously because of the UK's trade and security relations with Dubai. They don't want to upset them, and they rather turn a blind eye to the, you know, egregious behaviour towards citizens than actually raise it as an issue or to issue warnings to citizens. I mean, we've had a recent case of Albert Douglas, a grandfather who was beaten and tortured. His bones were broken in Dubai by the police, and he's still in prison now. So it's unbelievable to me that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office has not stood up enough to say, okay, once you abuse and torture someone, you better let them go. You better let them come back home, because there's no amount of I apologize or I investigate that justifies keeping that person in prison any longer under these circumstances. So again and again, they're just writing to their constituents and saying, yes, we're helping, we're raising it diplomatically, but they're not doing anything. And it's getting worse and worse. They used to be a lot more active than they are now.
This is so difficult, because how can you advise anybody? Because you're talking about a system where one doesn't know whether they are going to be suddenly, approached by the police and accused of something. So that puts you in a difficult situation, because with all of your understanding and all of the knowledge that you gained, what sort of advice could you give to anybody going into the country? Difficult, isn't it?
I mean, we've had Baroness Whitaker stand up and say Dubai is simply not safe in its current form for visitors and investors. And I think that's the message that needs to be driven home to citizens, is that, yes, it might be attractive. It might look like a Las Vegas or a Bangkok, but it most certainly is not. And you can do your best to abide by the law, but that is not going to immunize you or protect you against those who are seeking to abuse that law and use it against you. So I think that's probably the biggest issue, is that people tend to err on the side of, if an allegation's been made against you, or if you've been charged with a crime, they tend to say, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. So you must have done something wrong. You must be guilty. I'm not going to be targeted by authorities. It would never happen to me. So you've got that sort of, yes, situation going on with mentalities. And I think a lot of that is spurred on by the UAE's incredible marketing campaign into London, purchasing, advertising through all of the major newspapers, at the train stations, at billboards, everywhere you go. Invest in Dubai property. Come here. It's a wonderful playground for social media influencers. But how many social media influencers have also had charges levied against them? They never talk about that. And I think our media, also the mainstream media, has the issue that they're taking money from Dubai, and that's causing them to perhaps overlook a lot of the issues there.
That's scandalous. So our country, our nation, is compromised by money and the revenue that it receives from Dubai, including advertising. And here's the thing, I'm so glad you've come today, because you're actually myth busting. Some of the people who are writing in were under this idea that in Dubai, you have to do something really bad, like sex on the beach or something like that, right? But People are shocked what happened to Lala. Absolutely shocked that a Facebook post where she did something that many of us would have done in a similar situation. And certainly because I know some of her background and how she was being treated in terms of finances, etc. So she didn't do anything out of the ordinary. So people are quite shocked that that was happening. I think that's really important that you're here, because as I say, it's absolutely myth busting what is really taking place there. So at this moment in time, you're saying that, you know, one of our senior politicians is saying, or rather a lord lady is saying, absolutely not safe to go there. Would you echo that then?
Oh, at this point, absolutely. Nothing has changed over the past decade. We've seen, you know, talk about changes in the law and talk about making Dubai a safer place for foreigners, but we're not seeing that in the results. We're not seeing that as far as people being arrested are actually being beaten. They're being extorted. We've had a grandfather with his, you know, broken bones and head injuries. And this is just, you know, it's almost out of the movie, and it's not a good one. I think that probably the most important issue, and yes, you mentioned Lala Sharavish, when she posted that Facebook post, she posted it in London 5 years before she traveled to Dubai. So she was arrested for a 5-year-old post that she made from another country. I mean, that is unbelievable. So imagine when all of the Princess Latifah news was going around, there would have been a lot of social media comments and a lot of people supporting that case, which ultimately is a violation of UAE law and could lead to their arrest. It's illegal to use a VPN. You know, there's so many things that are illegal that most people are doing just by the way that they see other people doing it in Dubai and getting away with it. So they suddenly believe that they'll get away with it as well. But all it takes is a single person who doesn't like you for whatever reason to raise your case with the Dubai police, and you don't stand a chance to defend yourself.
Does money talk in Dubai?
Yes, I mean, we've seen the recent, I think, expose about, you know, how criminals are provided safe haven in Dubai. That's not always true. I have seen many extradited, even innocent people especially have been extradited unfairly, in my opinion. But certainly if you are a criminal or you are an accuser of someone else, if you know, like I said, if you want to extort someone, if you want to make a false allegation and you have money and you have influence, you're absolutely going to stand a better chance in court, and almost always the other person is not going to be able to achieve justice. That's one of the reasons why the English High Court has declined extradition after extradition to the UAE based on unfair trials, human rights violations, and the risk of torture.
Dear me. So there you have it, people. No matter what they say on Instagram, please take this lady's word over those paid for posts. Everybody, this is the quite phenomenal Radha Stirling. She formed Detained in Dubai, but you're so much more. You're a human rights advocate. You're an advisor to government. You're prepared to put yourself out there and walk the talk, Radha, which is so much appreciated, because some people that will get in touch with you, they will literally have no one else to turn to. So as I say, what you're doing is absolutely a public service. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Money speaks many languages, says Rhubarb, and so say all of us. Radha, take good care of yourself. Thank you for joining us this morning. Wishing you a lovely week. Wonderful work.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you. Wonderful work on behalf of the people. I know that if ever I found myself in trouble in Dubai, Radha Stirling is the first person I'd turn to. Take care, Radha.
Don't go, Sonia. Don't go.
I'm not going. I'm not going. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Isn't she brilliant? She's absolutely brilliant. And she puts herself out there, and that can't be easy. Why go to Dubai, says Mike. Can't believe I missed this interesting woman. We'll have to listen back, says Fox. Got you. Sam says women helping as usual. Oh, thank you, Radha. You have a very clear signal there. Great sound quality, says Merv. Absolutely. Right.